pain sufferers, if you have not tried a change in your diet, then I highly suggest that you research it, look into it. Dr. Sebi is someone, rest in peace to him. He has passed on. A lot of people found out about him because of the late Lisa Lopez from TLC. And, she has a documentary. It's all on YouTube and stuff. But Dr. Sebi as well also has a lot of videos. Now, some will say, he is a bit of an extremist, but I have to credit my main decision to really consider a vegan lifestyle to a lot of his teachings, and specifically his teachings on making the body less acidic and more alkaline. And so, drinking spring water and, being mindful of certain foods that are more acid triggering. And you can look up, Dr. Sebi to research his stuff. And you may not agree with everything, that he puts out there. But I have to admit, he does put out some really, prior to his death, he put out some very profound information on food and health. And I've taken in most of his advice and most of his teachings with my own diet and with a lot of the foods that I eat. So he's not a fan of black beans. So I had chickpeas when I first started out and I still have chickpeas. I just didn't make any for this week. I love black beans, but Dr. Sebi is not a fan of black beans, but he is a fan of the 100% wild rice. He's a fan of squash and a lot of other things that I do with my smoothies. But look up Dr. Sebi if you're curious about, how to have a less acidic body and a more alkaline body. And just, you could pick up some tips that you can just gradually incorporate into your own diet. Me, I kind of went somewhat vegan cold turkey, but for the most part, it was kind of easy for me to do that because even before I transitioned, I really didn't eat a whole lot of meat anyway. One of the things that I loved eating was tuna. So that would be really the main thing that I would eat most of the time in terms of meat. I would eat more tuna than anything else. So, but other than that, though, I was really always enjoying Brussels sprouts, and I always loved vegetables and rice and beans. So that was always a big part of my main diet anyway. So I'm just kind of, making some changes, but they're not dramatic changes. So that's my story for why I have considered a vegan lifestyle. To touch on pain, I do want to end out with a quote. And this quote comes from Alan Watts. Alan Watts is a brilliant thinker. You can look him up. He's controversial in some respects, and in other respects, he's just very much thought-provoking. But the quote that he says about pain, I really like. And it goes, "We cannot be more sensitive to pleasure without being more sensitive to pain." One of the things that I realized in living with back pain and inflammation and, literally going to bed with pain, waking up to pain, I constantly ask myself sometimes, just within my own mind, would there ever be a day where on this earth, where I will wake up and not wake up to pain, where I'll be able to lay down and not lay down with pain? And it makes me really appreciate the times years ago, which I can barely remember now, when I didn't have, back pain as an issue. I really can't really remember what it feels like. And so now, without the presence of appreciating a pain-free back, now I realize what Alan Watts is saying in that quote. I'm a person who is longing for the days of pleasure when I did not have back pain as an issue. Pleasure when I was too oblivious to realize that I needed to appreciate my back in that moment. And now that I am living with pain and have been living with pain, back pain for years, I am very sensitive to what pain is. The best picture that I can think of, there's an artist. Her name was Frida Kahlo. And I could be saying her name wrong, but I believe it's Frida Kahlo. And I believe she spells her last name Kahlo. But if you look up Frida Kahlo back pain art, she was an artist who dealt with back pain like myself. And she took her pain to a place of creativity, and she created a painting. It's a scary looking painting. I promise you it is. But if you are someone who deals with back pain, it is a piece of art that you'll appreciate, because you'll feel like, man, somebody gets it. Somebody sees what this is, and they have visualized what we deal with on a regular basis. And so just because people are very active like myself and seem to be, doing just fine, they probably are doing just fine, but they are also doing just fine and pushing through pain too. And it's just become normal to them. But it may not be a normal that they want to accept. I certainly don't want to accept it. And just maybe veganism is the way. At least I'll see. And so guys, like I said, in about 6 months or so, I'll do another episode where I've been doing it consistently for, a lot longer than 2 to 3 weeks. And I'll give you an update on my pain. And hopefully I'll be able to say my pain is diminished, or at least it is diminishing. All right, guys. So acknowledge someone's pain this month. If you know someone who deals with arthritis, gout, whatever it is, check on them this month. Check on them all the time when you think about them, but especially this month, since this is Pain Awareness Month. It is my hope that you enjoyed this episode. If you did enjoy the episode, please give our Facebook page a like. Just head over to Facebook and search Squat Wisely. If you are not subscribed to the podcast yet, you can subscribe through iTunes by searching Squat Wisely. You can also search on Stitcher, Squat Wisely, to subscribe there. And you can find the show on iHeartRadio as well. Guys, thank you so much for listening. I'll be back next time to do this all over again.
Get a world-class motivational speaker to your next event. Kristen Hester offers professional speaking services in Atlanta, Georgia, and beyond. To hire Kristen, visit www.kristenspeaks.com. Kristen.
You've been listening to the Squat Wisely podcast. Professor Kristen Hester is a philosophy professor, fitness professional, and motivational speaker. For well over a decade, she's led philosophy courses within the university system of Georgia. Kristen leads group fitness classes in Atlanta, as well as leading one-on-one personal training sessions. She strengthens the body as well as the mind. We'll see you next time on the Squat Wisely podcast with Professor Kristen Hester.